If you've ever put off a task until tomorrow, you are part of a story that is literally thousands of years old. Procrastination, it's not just some modern flaw in our character. It's a really deep human impulse with this fascinating and honestly kind of surprising history. So let's kick things off by connecting one of history's greatest minds to that thing you've been avoiding.
Okay, so I want to start with a question for you. What could possibly connect one of the most brilliant scientific minds in all of history with, say, that nagging task that's been sitting on your to-do list for weeks?
Well, the answer involves this truly epic delay, a very strange obsession, and a secret that I think reveals exactly why we all put things off. It's a story that is going to completely reframe how you think about procrastination.
So let's just dive right in with our first case study. One of history's most accomplished and, well, most baffling procrastinators, Charles Darwin.
That's how long it took. 20 years. After coming up with his groundbreaking theory of natural selection, one of the most important ideas in human history, Darwin just sat on it for 2 full decades before he finally published The Origin of Species.
And look, we are not talking about a minor delay here. He didn't just, tweak the manuscript for a bit. He literally locked it away and left instructions to only publish it after he died. So the big question, the one we have to ask, is why?
Well, instead of changing the world, Darwin got busy. Very, very busy. For 8 of those 20 years, he became the world's leading expert on barnacles. Yeah, barnacles. He filled his entire house with them, spent all day hunched over his microscope, and wrote massive books about them. His own kids actually grew up thinking that all fathers just spent their days studying barnacles. These were his barnacles. The all-consuming, detailed tasks we throw ourselves into to avoid the one big thing we're supposed to be doing.
And Darwin's story, it just perfectly illustrates a core truth about procrastination. It is so rarely about actual laziness. It's really about the art of being busy with the wrong thing. The humorist Robert Benchley absolutely hit the nail on the head with this one. Procrastinators can be heroically productive people. I mean, my apartment is never, ever cleaner than when I have a huge deadline coming up. It's all about misdirected energy. Darwin wasn't lazy, he was just really, really busy with his barnacles.
Psychologists actually have a formal definition for this. Procrastination isn't just delaying something. It is specifically delaying something when you know deep down that it's going to make things worse for you later. That's the crucial part. It is by its very nature an irrational act against your own best interests.
And because it feels so self-destructive, so illogical, humanity has been fighting a war against procrastination for a very, very long time. I mean, this is not a new problem. Not at all. As far back as 800 BC, you had the Greek poet Hesiod warning farmers not to put their work off. The fight raged through religion in the 4th century, then into the industrial age with its absolute obsession with efficiency, and finally, it became a full-blown psychological war in the 1970s. We have been trying to conquer this impulse for literally millennia.
I love this story. The legend of Saint Expedite just perfectly captures the moral stakes. So, the story goes, he's confronted by a crow, who's actually the devil in disguise. And the crow is croaking the Latin word for tomorrow, cross. But the saint, he chooses hodie, today. And he stomps on the crow, refusing to delay his own salvation. It turns procrastination into this epic battle for your very soul.
But what if this whole war is a little misguided? What if delaying things isn't just a vice? Because weirdly enough, the history of genius is also a history of procrastination.
So let's look at the other side of the coin for a minute. Because some of the most creative people in history weren't just productive in spite of their delays. No, they were absolutely legendary for them. Just take Leonardo da Vinci. In 1483, he was commissioned to paint the Virgin of the Rocks. He promised it would be done in 7 months. His patrons finally got the finished painting a quarter of a century later. 25 years.
And his patrons were, as you can imagine, beyond frustrated. This quote from Pope Leo X just perfectly sums up how people saw him. They saw this brilliant mind who just couldn't seem to finish anything, while Leonardo meanwhile was busy dissecting bodies, designing flying machines, and, changing the entire course of art and science, but on his own schedule. The writer Edgar Allan Poe, another master of delay, he knew the feeling inside and out. He perfectly described that self-destructive spiral where the more anxious you get about a task, the more you desperately, fearfully crave putting it off. These famous figures, they don't feel like historical oddities, do they? They feel deeply, deeply familiar.
So what does this all mean for us right now? What are our barnacles?
The reason their struggles with barnacles and delayed paintings hit so close to home is because they're just grander, more epic versions of our own daily battles with distraction and avoidance. We all have our own barnacles.
I mean, does any of this sound familiar? Maybe for you it's not dissecting barnacles, but it's suddenly deciding to organize your entire bookshelf, or falling into a YouTube rabbit hole for 3 hours, or cleaning the grout in your shower with a toothbrush when you should be working. These are our modern-day barnacles, the things we do to avoid the big, scary, important stuff.
So, here's the big takeaway from all this. Procrastination is so much more than just a glitch in your calendar. It's a window into our deepest anxieties about a project. It's a sign of our ambivalence about what's being asked of us. And sometimes it's a small, quiet act of rebellion against the tyranny of the to-do list.
Ultimately, when we drag our feet, maybe we're not just being lazy. Maybe, subconsciously, we're asking a much, much deeper question. In the face of all this pressure to be productive all the time, is the thing I'm supposed to be doing really the most important thing? Is it even worth doing at all? And you know what? That might be a question worth delaying.